Okay, so today I'm going to be taking a look at the Honor Magic4 Lite, released about 8 months ago, back in April of this year. I picked it up a little bit later just to see how it performs 8 months later, and is it still worth buying in 2022 and of course going into 2023. So I picked it up on eBay on a Black Friday deal for 159 quid for a mint condition X display unit. So I'm just going to let you know now how my experience has been using the Honor Magic4 Lite. Okay, so let's start this review by talking about arguably my favourite part of the Honor Magic4 Lite, and that is this giant 6.81 inch LCD display with a 90Hz refresh rate. It is a really nice immersive display. It's full screen, there's very minimal bezel on the bottom and around the edges of the phone. It's really immersive, so if you're into a lot of content consumption like games or watching films or something like that, it's going to look really good on the Honor Magic4 Lite. Up in the top center, you get a 16 megapixel selfie camera with an f2.5 aperture, which can shoot 1080p video at 30 FPS. On the bottom of the phone, you get your SIM tray, microphone, USB-C charging port, and speaker grille. On the left of the phone is completely clean, and on the right you get your power button with integrated fingerprint sensor and your volume buttons, and then on the top you get another microphone. Now, unfortunately, the Honor Magic4 Lite does not come with a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is very strange to find on a budget device, but unfortunately that's just the way that a lot of phones are going. And then on the rear of the phone you get your quad camera setup, which consists of a 64 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and then two 2 megapixel macro and depth cameras. I've got the phone in blue, but it is also available in black and silver. And the build of this phone, of course, is all plastic, but it's a very shiny back to the phone. It's very much a fingerprint magnet. It is, of course, a separate piece of plastic from the surround of the phone, which is a more of a matte finish plastic. But overall, I really like the design of the phone. The camera housing is quite large. It's probably doesn't need to be this large because it's got that large matrix bit of branding in the center, but nevertheless it does give the phone a bit of a unique look. Of course, you do find a similar design on the Honor Magic4 Pro, which of course I don't have the money to do a review video on, but nevertheless the Honor Magic4 Lite design is typical of a budget device that you'd find from Motorola and Samsung. So going back to the display of the Honor Magic4 Lite, like I said, it's a 6.8 inch display with a full HD resolution and a 90Hz refresh rate. Scrolling through the interface is really smooth. Apps open really quickly. I haven't found any instances of any lagging or stuttering or anything like that, and that is of course down to the processor inside the Honor Magic4. And speaking of that, it is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 680 processor with a 4G connectivity. So of course there isn't any 5G on the Honor Magic4 Lite. However, they do a 5G version of that phone. Let me know down in the comments if that is a phone that you'd like me to take a look at as well. As for software, you get Magic UI version 4.2 on top of Android 11. So unfortunately, it's neither the newest version of Android or the newest version of Magic UI. I think they're on Magic UI version 6.1 or something like that. And then of course there is Android 12. But nevertheless, running on the Honor Magic4 Lite is really smooth. There's no issues with any of the performance or anything like that. Yeah. As for the fingerprint scanner on the Honor Magic4 Lite, it is really fast and responsive. I haven't had any issues of it misreading my fingerprint or anything like that. As soon as you touch the sensor, boom, you're into the phone, and it's really quick. A lot quicker than I have found with some of the in-display fingerprint scanners on other slightly more upper mid-range smartphones. So I'm still a big fan of these capacitive fingerprint scanners on the side of the phone. Now, battery life is something that the Honor Magic4 Lite really excels in. It's got a large 4800 mAh battery which supports up to 66 watt super fast charging, which is something that you do get included in the box as well. But I have found the phone to last me all day, no problem at all. But of course, if you do run low, it can charge up super fast as well with that 66 watt charging. You do of course get good battery life as well, thanks to that efficiency of the Snapdragon 680 inside, which is built on a pretty modern 6nm fabrication. And like I said, overall performance of the Honor Magic 4 Lite has been really great. I haven't had any stutters or anything like that. It can handle a bit of light gaming as well, not too bad. It has got that Reno 610 GPU, which handles moderate gaming absolutely fine. And you do get 8 GB of RAM inside the Honor Magic 4 Lite, as well as 128 GB of internal storage. But unfortunately, there isn't provisions to expand that 128 GB via a micro SD card. So that's something that you have to bear in mind when considering this phone. So Magic UI is actually one of my favorite skins that you can find on a smartphone, that along with One UI. There's not that much bloatware on the phone. There's a few of Honor's built-in apps on the phone, like Honor Club and Honor Store, and there's a couple of games preloaded and Booking.com as well. But of course you can delete the games and Booking.com if you don't want them on there. But overall, One UI is, like I said, one of my favorite skins to use. It's pretty customizable. You've got the options to go into your wallpapers and change your themes. You can download new ones to really customize the overall look of your phone. You could even download a stock Android skin to upload onto your Honor Magic 4 Lite if you really didn't like Magic UI. But personally for me, it's absolutely fine. The icons aren't too garish or anything like that. Not a problem. Like I said, one of my favorite skins along with One UI and of course stock Android, but who doesn't like stock Android? So lastly, let's quickly talk about the camera on the Honor Magic 4 Lite. And like I said earlier, you get a 64 megapixel f1.8 primary camera, which is backed up by an 8 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide and then two 2 megapixel macro and depth cameras, both at f2.4. So my experience using the Honor Magic 4 Lite's camera has been very similar to what I found when using the Honor X8 and the X7, and even to a certain extent the Honor X6 that I also did a video on as well. Photos from the main camera are okay. There's nothing too much to rave about. They don't have that oomph to them, which is what I found with like Motorola photos and Samsung's, when they just add a little bit more saturation to the photos to make them look a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Detail is okay. There are certain finer areas of photos, like with leaves and grass and things like that, which can look a little bit lost and a little bit smudgy. And then when switching to the ultra wide, I found that to be absolutely the case. I really didn't like my experience using the ultra wide camera on the Honor Magic 4 Lite. Unfortunately, although they have boosted the resolution to 8 megapixels over 5 megapixels on the X7 and X8, I haven't found it to be that much of an improvement. Color-wise, it does seem to be a little bit more saturated, which is probably the only plus that I have found when using the ultra wide camera. And then video tops out at 1080p at 30 FPS on the rear camera as well as on the front camera as well. And then the 2 megapixel macro camera produces some, to be expected, low resolution photos, but it is okay for a little bit of fun. On the plus side, the selfie camera of the Honor Magic 4 Lite I did actually found to be pretty good. It's very similar experience to what I found on the Honor X8, where I really didn't like the main camera results when taking portraits, but then when switching to the selfie camera, I actually found that the photos came out a lot nicer, a lot more textured to my skin. There was less smoothing going on, which is what I found on the main camera. Yeah, just a better overall photo, in my opinion, of portraits on the selfie camera. But let me know in the comments what you think of the photos from these phones. And unfortunately, that is something that I have found to be a bit of a trend when reviewing these Honor phones. The overall experience of the phone itself, as in going through the UI, everyday use, battery life, charging speeds, all that sort of stuff has been really great. But I have found to be severely let down by the camera experience on all of the Honor phones that I've used. I'm hoping if I look at some of the more upper mid-range to flagship Honor phones in the future, that might not be the case as much, but definitely with their budget phones, I have found that to be the case. But let me know in the comments what you think of the Honor Magic 4 Lite. Is it a phone that you would consider buying? Is it one that you have already, or will you consider going up to maybe an Honor 50 or an Honor 70 in that sort of upper mid-range segment? But again, let me know in the comments what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. I'd really appreciate it, and thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.